the fourth be with you on Sunday, we're going to have issues. Just know that. So no one make that joke. However, I'd like to introduce today's guest on the Fantasy Elite Show, Davis Maddock, Drew Dinkmeyer filling in for Mike Leone from Roto Experts, and Dave Loughran, a.k.a. Laufey D. Gentlemen, you are looking, well, Dave, you're looking good. Drew,
came from work.
Drew, meh, but, you know, what can we expect from Davis other than the V-neck shirt? Anyways, die alone, right, Davis?
Yeah. So am I playing Drew Dinkmeyer at Fantasy Elite today because I want to watch him try and figure out the challenge process. I think that'd be really funny.
We should get a three-man going on the show because
we need to do that.
I definitely got beat by Tuttle last night. It was nice.
You're letting Tuttle beat you? Tuttle is trash at Elite, dude.
Oh man! All right, well let's get started on the show. I might have some fun photoshops to show people later on, but let's just go ahead and get started.
All right, pitchers. Talk to me about Felix Hernandez, Dink.
I mean, everybody's going to be a little bit nervous after he got tattooed by the Astros last time out, and now it's not in Seattle; it's in Houston. But you got to have a short memory in this DFS life. So he's the best pitcher going tonight. He's actually on the season improved his K rate, improved his walk rate, improved his swinging strike rate. Those are all good things. Last two starts haven't been great, but he's the best pitcher going in the best matchup, and he's got the best win potential of all the top pitchers. So he's my guy. I'm firing out there on FanDuel, and he's the top starting pitcher option in our rankings.
Laufey, are you on board with all of this?
It's not that I'm not on board with it, but when you take a look at other sites, DraftKings specifically, he's a lot more expensive than guys like Strasburg, who, look, the difference between Strasburg and Hernandez is you have a better chance of having Hernandez eat more innings. Like, Strasburg could easily go 6 innings, but he could give you 12 strikeouts too, especially against this Philly team. I don't care if it's at Citizens Bank Park. I really don't. In 2 career starts at the bank, he's been perfectly fine. And while that's a small sample size, it's still Strasburg, and he's been shaky at times. But so is Hernandez. I like them both, but at $1,100 cheaper on DraftKings and a couple other sites, I don't have a problem going him either. And I also like Cliff Lee. I don't mind the matchup. He's virtually matchup proof. Throw out the Arizona game, and I don't like him against Arizona regardless. But I like Cliff Lee too. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, Strasburg's problem is, I was looking this up yesterday because really I wanted to find a reason why it made sense that Strasburg performed so much worse on the road, and it's as simple as the fact that he walks guys. He gives guys free passes on the bases. His K to walk ratio is like, I think 75% is bad on the road. I need to look it up real quick, the exact numbers. But basically, he just gives guys free passes when he's on the road. Why that is, I couldn't tell you.
Which is why you like him even more against Philly, because they led the league in walks over the first couple of weeks, but they are one of the most impatient teams. I watch them all the time. They're impatient. They swing at garbage. And I agree with you, though. He does. He walks a ton of batters on the road, but I do think it makes a difference playing against this Philadelphia team.
I like Strasburg. It seems more than the consensus tonight. I think that if you're playing a tournament, I think he's easily the number one tournament option. And on Draft Street, with a 4K difference between him and Felix, especially on Draft Street where Ks are king, I don't think you have any choice but to put Strasburg in your lineup immediately. Am I wrong, Dink? Am I being Chalmers?
No, I'm not going to yell at you yet. I will later. No, there's no problem playing Strasburg at a significantly deeper discount than Felix Hernandez. I've got no problem with that at all. We've got Strasburg as our number 2 pitcher. We've got Cliff Lee as our number 3. Price and Cashner rounding out our top 5 for our rankings today. So I don't have a problem doing that at all. I'm not really concerned about the matchup. If you play on FanDuel and you're playing for the win, though, that is a big concern going up against Cliff Lee.
Yeah,
and I'd rather take King Felix at the same price there. So it just depends on the site you're on. But on a site like DraftStreet, where pricing, in general with those top pitchers is tough to always fit in 3. I probably won't be playing either of those guys outside of tournament lineups.
Even in your cash games, you're fading Strasburg on DraftStreet?
Yeah, I'd rather for a couple K cheaper dip into the Price Cashner range. You can do it. The pricing is soft enough on hitters that you can do it either way. So that was my first look over there. On DraftKings, there's enough hitting value that you can play. You can even play Strasburg and Felix and have a decent lineup. I was talking to Tuttle about that earlier today. So, I think there's enough value around the industry that you can stack a couple of these really nice pitchers. But it just depends. StratStreet's always the one that's tough, just because those pitchers start to eat up like 25% of your salary.
Yeah.
See, on DraftKings, I think that's the site where I'm most inclined to play Felix Hernandez because I think Cashner presents a much better value on DraftKings than Strasburg does, because they have similar K upside, and you just don't have I feel like it's less risky to pay 9.7 for Cashner than it is to pay 11.5 for Strasburg.
I don't see that at all. I know he's at home. I know he's at a good park, but K upside, not even closed.
Yeah.
That
was a Chalmers moment.
Relative to who they are as entities, obviously
9.7's a lot, though, man. Like 9.7's a lot. I don't know.
I am a long time noted Andrew Cashner aficionado, though. Like this is factual. What are your guys' thoughts on Cashner for that price tag on DraftKings? Are you on board with that dink more so than Laffy is?
I don't mind that price tag. I mean, just looking at DraftKings pricing in general, any of the guys outside of Beckett that are priced in the top, like Beckett and Shields, I'm not really on Shields for that price tag. In the top 6 or 7, Strasburg, Lee, Price, Cashner, Cole, I'm comfortable with all of them. The thing that's interesting about DraftKings today is that there's a couple guys much cheaper than that have huge upside. With Salazar at 7K. Again, big risk, but big upside. Brandon Morrow, cheaper than that, pitching in an NL park, a much better park than he's accustomed to. So there's some good decisions on DraftKings. I think you can fit in a good line. My initial lineup had Fernandez and Cole, or Felix Hernandez and Cole, just because I didn't have enough to get quite up to Cashner, who I have ranked ahead of Cole. But I think that's the thing. If I'm in that Cashner price range, I can upgrade my hitting a little bit significantly, and still get Cole at a little bit cheaper. So I'm not landing on those two guys, but I don't mind them. They're good plays.
Yeah, I like Cole as well, but I view him skill wise right now as a tier below Cashner.
No, him and Cashner are the same pitcher.
Same pitcher?
They're legitimately the same pitcher.
Okay.
This isn't like a Paul Maholm, Travis Wood thing where one pitcher is significantly better than the other.
Oh,
In the case of Travis Wood. But Garrett Cole and Andrew Cashner are like the same pitcher.
Shots fired, Derek Carty, wherever you are.
Team Wood.
I would like to say that it's Maholm and not Maholm.
Get out of here.
Yep, no one asked you.
Carry on.
Laffy, who are your 2 favorite pitchers on DraftKings? If we're talking, so we all agree that it's Felix, Strasburg a tier below, but we seem to have some disagreement on that second guy. So who are you looking at as your second guy?
One of them that really intrigues me, and I've liked him since the beginning of the year. It hadn't panned out for him, and everything but last start. But Danny Salazar just has such electric stuff when he's on that it's hard not to like him at 7K. Last start, he goes out, he throws 7 innings, a 5-hit, 1-run ball. He walks 1 guy and strikes out 8. His first start of the season, his second start of the season, he struck out 10 batters, and I think he faced 18 batters. So 10 of his 11 outs came on strikeouts, but he only lasted 3.2 innings. and that's the
I
problem.
know. I started him in my cash games.
Yeah, and look, he's not going deep in the games, but I'm gambling on the fact that he's harnessed this stuff. Last week looked really good, and at 7K, especially in GPPs, I'm 100% in on him. Now, another guy that I don't know, I'm really even scared to mention him, but Mike Minor, because he's so cheap. Now, I don't know, is he going to be on an innings limit? Does anybody know?
I didn't see anywhere with a pitch count, but the thing that freaked me out, and DraftKings is the only place that he's priced in a way that made me have to even think about this. But I looked at his minor league rehab starts. And he allowed 6 homers in 22 and a third innings.
Bad, I know. I saw,
and that kind of freaked me out. So
I know, I agree. All I'm saying is, there's a lot of qualifiers on DraftKings tonight.
Yeah,
he can strike batters out, and he's a lefty going to go up against San Francisco. You got Posey in there, Morse, Pence, but it takes Belt out of it. You know, it evens out, and none of those guys are hitting that well right now. They're really not. Posey's all right. He's getting back out there. But for 6,800, Minor can rack up the strikeouts, and he's really cheap. And like Dink said, yeah, I think he allowed 10 hits in his last rehab start. So it's nothing that I'm really loving, but the price makes you look twice.
I would say
that was the only site I saw that he presented a challenge for me, and that's why I had to kind of look it up. I think if you want to go, you know, like you said, in qualifiers and tourneys, I don't think that's a bad play at all. I certainly wouldn't do it in cash games, just because even though they haven't said that there's any sort of pitch count, we just don't know how they'll treat it.
And if he gets in a little bit of trouble, he could be yanked. And I think Brandon Morrow, if we're going to go in cash game with a similar price, is probably a safer play. Granted, he hasn't been great, but he does have decent stuff, and he's capable of pitching, 7 innings, two earned, and a handful of strikeouts. So
he was looking great until, like, from a peripherals perspective, until that Boston start.
Dude, that was so bad.
It was horrible. But
he didn't allow a hit, Dink. He didn't allow a hit.
There's a couple factors. The first is Boston historically has given him all sorts of problems. And I usually don't put a lot of weight on that, but Boston's roster hasn't had a ton of turnover in the last few years. So it's all the same guys. And the other thing about that, I watched the game. The first 3 pitches of the game, he threw right on the outer half on the black, and they were called balls, and he couldn't find the zone after that. Like, it was a really tight zone. So before that game, he had a walk rate that was sub 3 per 9. He had that great strikeout rate, had the ground ball rate. Now he's going into Pittsburgh. I think he's a really strong tournament play tonight.
Yeah, and pitching is so cerebral. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know if there's another position in any of the major sports that is like, look at the turnover on closing pitchers every single year. He's the best, he's the worst. Starting pitchers. So I'm with you. You get jammed on 3 straight pitches that you located right where you were looking against a team that you historically struggle against. I think you can throw that game out. If anything, you could look at it and say it was an embarrassing start, and he could come out with some good stuff tonight.
Yeah. I think that you guys are missing out on a name, especially for a tournament option with the way the lineups came out today. Willie Peralta versus the Cincinnati Reds. They have so Billy Hamilton's not in the lineup, and Chris Heisey is starting in his spot. So really the 2 hitters you have to worry about are Joey Votto and Jay Bruce. Other than that, guys that he has to get out: Brian Pena,
Tucker
Zach
Barnhart,
Cozart, Roger Bernardina, Ramon Santiago. I'm pretty sure Ramon Santiago is not actually a real person. That is an MLB The Show create-a-player. Like, they just got the most generic MLB name they could find and put him in the lineup.
I stack him in the Tigers every... Yeah,
is
you
that
got
a real
point.
player?
Yeah, he was on the Tigers last year, and he actually was pretty decent for stacks only because of the other guys you had in your lineup, and he was so cheap. But outside of that, he's fake.
Yeah, I think Peralta is a super sexy, sneaky play tonight. He, you know what? He throws really hard. If nothing else, he throws so hard. He's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, never mind the fact that according to the PitchFX pitch values, it actually has a negative correlation to preventing runs, but he throws it really hard. So I think that's really what's important here. No Peralta love, Dink? None?
No, I've come around on Peralta because this was one of Leone's favorites coming into the season, and he convinced me to draft him in our NFBC league. He's been great early in the season. He's a guy that's displayed 2 of the 3 elite skills that you look for in pitchers, which is strikeouts and swinging strikes, ground balls, and then the third one that he had never commanded before was walks and commanded the strike zone. He's throwing more strikes this year. He's pounding the zone a little bit more. And not only is this a weak lineup, it's a lineup that doesn't take a lot of pitches. And so outside of Otto now and Bruce, that lineup is a lot of hackers. And so that's a good matchup for him. The ballpark shouldn't affect him quite as much because he already plays in a launching pad in Milwaukee, and he keeps the ball on the ground really well. So with that depleted lineup, I agree. I think he's a fine option for multi-starting pitching sites and a fine tournament play as well. He just doesn't have the upside to me in tournaments of a Morrow or of a Salazar because the strikeout rate isn't quite as elite as those guys.
Yes, I mean,
yeah,
Salazar,
I was going to say, his main thing, the one word I think of when I think of Willie Peralta this season, and actually the end of last season is when he really started picking it up, but the main word for him is safe. He's a safe play. He's going to give you 6 or 7 innings, couple runs, and 5 or 6 strikeouts, and I really don't have any problem with that at all. And he doesn't allow that many hits either. 6 or less hits in 4 or 5 starts this year, and that actually means a lot on a site like DraftKings that docks points for hits allowed and walks. He's given up a
very cheap on Draft Street. He's
given up a home run in every game, but it's not like he's given up grand slams. Sorry, Davis, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, just in your addition to your point about it mattering which side it was, he's only 12K on Draft Street. So
he's 9K on Elite if you're playing that slate of games.
I am playing that slate of games, and I didn't even realize it, and I'm about to go put him in versus Tuttle.
So yeah, I mean, you have a decent pitcher at under 9K. I'm starting to come around on the whole pitchers on Elite thing.
No, you have to. You have to.
Yeah. I mean,
the good thing about Peralta too is because he has such a high ground ball rate on Elite, he's not going to hurt you with those home runs allowed.
Yeah. Okay, Drew, we get it. You love Peralta enough.
Yeah.
Drew loves ground balls.
I'm just trying to pump the sponsor's scoring system here, pal.
Yeah.
I love it that Mike had to, like, whenever Peralta's name comes up, you always talk about how he was just a big point of contention with you and Mike. I would love to have like a camera with those. I'm assuming they're like G-chat fights, or are they like phone calls?
They're heated.
They are like G-chat fights?
Yeah, and they get heated too.
Come on, Drew. You know Peralta's good.
That's such a good Leone impression. Okay. All right. I think that we probably covered all of the pitchers that need to be talked about today. Is there a GPP option that you would like to mention, Dink, that has not been discussed thus far?
Ubaldo Jimenez. He sucks, and because he sucks, he's going to be off the radar for everybody. But he's one of those guys that he's either terrible or he's really good, and there's like nothing in between. And the Twins have started to come back to what we expected the Twins to be. It's a good park to pitch in, much better than the ones he's pitched in previously, and he's very cheap because he stunk early in the year. So he's a tournament-only guy, but he's worth a look.
Yeah, this guy was 15-0 at the All-Star break a couple years back, and he won 4 games in the final half of the season, and ever since then...
That's back when he threw 98, 99, and Davis loved him.
Well,
dude, I love Ubaldo.
Ubaldo.
Are you saying I love you, Baldo, or you love Baldo Jimenez?
Are you talking about Ubaldo or Dave?
Yeah, are you talking...
I loved... Oh, that season, man, I did not miss a Ubaldo start.
You probably wanted to miss the last half of them.
Well, yeah. But, oh, man, I remember watching that perfect game, or the no-hitter, and just being like, man, this guy is amazing.
I owned him everywhere that year, too. It was so much fun. And then he lost his fastball velocity, and he's never been quite the same since.
Yep, see, velocity matters. I don't know where Tommy G is right now, but that's for you, bro. It matters.
Tell that to Jamie Moyer.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We're moving on. It's time to shift focus. We're gonna talk about hitters. I didn't see anything in the Vegas totals that immediately leapt out at me that I was like, oh man, need to be all over that, or that doesn't make any sense. Did you see anything in the lines, Dink, that made you go, like, stop a second and think?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at how high the total was with the Angels and the Rangers in Anaheim in a night game. A 9 total surprised me a little bit, especially since the Rangers, the way their lineup is constructed, should be better against right-handed pitching. They're facing a lefty, and the Angels are the opposite. They should be better against left-handed pitching because all their premier hitters are right-handed. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but I kind of asked around with some guys, that bet a lot, and they thought that was the right number. So maybe I'm a little off on that, but I thought I expected an 8.5 on that, and it was a 9. So
Cleveland minus 150 tonight with a total of 8.5 is pretty sexy. Boston and Oakland at minus 125 for Boston at a 9.5. So that game ties the Colorado game for highest over under. And like Dink said, the next highest is that Texas at LA game, with LA being a minus 130 favorite. So definitely interesting. Of course, the Washington and Philly game is a minus 110 at 6.5. So
yeah,
you probably want to stay away from there unless you're trying to go contrarian.
Stack against Strasburg.
If you're going to stack against anyone, I'd stack against Lee because he's the one that gives up home runs. And when you're looking for stacks, there are going to be a lot of solo shots, but he does give up home runs. He gives them up at home. Jason Worth's somebody to target tonight. I don't care even if you're just playing him without a stack. I still like Jason Worth tonight. That doesn't mean I don't like Cliff Lee, but I do like Worth.
It was interesting. Last night I was talking to my good buddy Evan Silva.
Oh, stop it.
What?
Stop it.
What? But he was, I think there's a lot of people under the assumption that if you have to play GPPs, you cannot pick a pitcher that you think everyone else is going to be on.
That's stupid.
My experience has been that a normal, like, chalky lineup has been so it might not like win the tournament because you see a lot of mini stacks that are winning. Like STL is like king of the mini stacks, and he's just been crushing it right now, like on a FanDuel. But if you go chalky with your lineup, your cash game chalk lineup has a good chance, a better chance at hitting the cash because you're basically playing against a lot of people that are going contrarian. That's the only thing I'd like to say. Drew's typing.
Is his keyboard really loud, or is it just me?
No, it would just blew me up too.
No, yeah. I was really expecting Paul Revere to come through and say the British are coming.
I thought it was popping all over bubble wrap.
All right. Anyways, moving on though to the hitters. What's wrong with your pinky, Dink?
it's gone.
Your pinky's gone? Did you break your right pinky?
Did I break my right pinky? There it is. It's back.
Put both of your hands in front of the camera again and spread them. Like, no, I mean, not that, like, back,
What?
so we can see your whole hand.
Oh,
Your right
God.
hand is different than your left hand.
The pinky's hanging out his window.
I don't know. I'm more flexible with my right hand. I don't know.
All right, moving on, please.
How do you even notice that, though? Like, I thought he had a bandage on
Moving
it.
on. Talking about catchers. Who is your favorite catcher, Lofty?
Dave is a hand model.
Damn it. Listen,
I was really looking for a Tucker Barnhart, but I did roster him last night, by the way. Yeah, props to me, right?
Props to Dave for calling that out as his under the radar homer yesterday on the show.
wait, did he actually hit a home run?
Yeah.
He did.
No, he didn't.
He
Wait,
did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did, dude. Solo shot.
Baseball is so dumb. Just like baseball is so dumb.
Is baseball dumb?
Yeah, it's so dumb.
You don't be mad. Don't be mad because I called it. Just
No,
move
I'm
on.
mad because
You saw my tweet first, didn't you, Dave?
I have never seen your tweet. Don't even say that. All right.
Just offers on the table.
Do we have a Rockies lineup yet? Is that a thing?
I haven't seen one. No.
Okay. Talk about catchers.
I like Jan Gomes tonight. For some reason this guy stays cheap. I don't know why. He's 2,800 on DraftKings. I mean, like, it's not like he's blowing the laces off the ball, but he hasn't been bad either. You have some pretty terrible catchers that are priced a lot higher than he is. So Giovanni Soto is priced more than he is, and he's on the 60-day DL. Same with Francisco Cervalli, both priced above him on DraftKings. I don't like to spend a lot on my catcher, and he's some. But one guy I really love tonight, and okay, so I mentioned Minor, but that doesn't mean I like him. It's really hard not to like Buster Posey tonight. And Dink mentioned the home runs that Minor allowed in his rehab assignment. Mm-hmm. I'll take Posey against the lefty all day.
All right, Dink. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, I like Posey. He's our top catcher. He's the only catcher we have that ranks like in the top like 30 or 40 hitters in our model. So it's him and then a big guy. Well, sorry, the other guy is Josmiel Pinto from the Twins.
Pinto.
I'm looking at Dave
his
as he's pondering the pronunciation.
I don't know what it is either. I just think it sounds funny. Pinto.
It's Yosmiel Pinto.
Yosmiel Pinto.
It's a soft J.
You smell what?
It's a soft J. When I went to the Royals game and he hit a home run, that was how the announcer said it.
Okay, Yosmiel Pinto. Ubaldo has reverse splits, and Pinto historically has hit right-handed batters better than left-handed, right-handed pitchers better than left-handed pitchers. Not only at the major league level, but at the minor league level as well. So Pinto is another guy that's a tier below Posey that we like. Then in the value plays area, I'll keep it kind of short and sweet. We like Jan Gomes as well. We like Jaso, although hitting eighth kind of sucks. D'Arnaud is a big power upside, but I'd be careful about taking him on sites that penalize for strikeouts, just because like Draft Street, he can rack up some negatives, but big power upside. And then Yasmani Grandal, if he's in the lineup, really like him a lot against Arroyo, who just stinks against left-handed bats. Career 2.03 home run per nine against lefties, and a 370 plus weighted on base average. So Padres lefties are really sneaky tonight, and if Grandal's in the lineup, he usually hits in the middle of it. So I'm waiting on that Padres lineup to see if he's in it.
Good job on the pronunciations, man. You just killed it. Some tough ones too.
Hey, Dave, let me get a breaking news drop. Is that it? Carlos Gonzalez not in the lineup for the Rockies tonight. And Charlie Blackmon is leading off. But Corey Dickerson is hitting farther down the lineup than I expected, which means I really expected it because the Rockies, I don't know, I think they hate stats, probably.
He's hit sixth. I thought he might hit fifth, but sixth is still fine. It's a good spot.
Perfectly fine with that. You got to give it to our buddy Steve at Fantasy Insiders, who called that the Rockies' injuries were about to mount any day now, and then Cargo goes down. So good job, Steve.
Yeah. As far as catcher goes, though, I think I'm just gonna stick with I've been doing for the last week, which is the A's catcher strategy. I think I'm just gonna take Jaso, hope he gets a couple walks, something like that. I don't know. It's just I don't. My lineup doesn't have a lot of space in it right now because I'm using Felix or Strasburg everywhere. So I do like Grandal on Draft Street though. I think that's probably the way to go because he's super cheap and
he's the same price as Jaso on DraftKings too.
Yeah, then I'll probably go over to DraftKings and go switch that up. I didn't see that, but on FanDuel, Jaso is just so cheap every night. Moving on though, let's talk about some shortstops. It kind of sucks tonight, and it's different on every site. Like Mike Aviles is shortstop eligible in a couple places. I really like him. But on Draft Street and FanDuel, you can't use him there. Who's your favorite shortstop play tonight, Dink?
Yeah, shortstop does suck because again, you get Tulo, who's priced crazy against a right-handed pitcher who dominates right-handed bats. So it's not a great matchup for Tulo to pay up for. You've got Hamley in a reverse split situation that's all right, but his price is still pretty elevated. Then you get the mid-tier guys who don't rank particularly well in our model, like Lowry, Asdrubal Cabrera, but are okay. So I'm kind of finding the cheapest shortstop I'm comfortable with. On Draft Street, it's Brad Miller. I know he's been terrible to start the season, and he struck out a ton, and that really hurts you on Draft Street. But he's hitting second, and that's a huge boost to the lineup. And Brad Peacock really struggles with lefties. On FanDuel, it's Yunel Escobar and Sean Rodriguez, who are really cheap, and they crush lefties. Rodriguez is hitting fifth, so he's in a good spot. They both homered last night. And then on DraftKings, it's like Micah Villas hitting second. Maybe Donnie Murphy, if he's in the lineup, he's super cheap at $2,500. And then there's Yunel Escobar, a little bit more expensive there too. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking at. But shortstop's not pretty today.
I want all the Micah Villas where it can. He's a good hitter.
Shortstop is never pretty though. I mean, that would be
too low when he's cheaper-ish against another, against an opposite-handed guy, hand ram. You can get Asdrubal goes through little hot streaks too. I disagree with you. Shortstop, you can find nice value there.
It's not pretty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, Dink basically touched on everything, and there's really not much point in sitting here and talking about shortstops for a while, but I don't know. Jed Lowry against a struggling Buckholz, batting second. I like that. Aside from that, everyone else he mentioned are in play, but there's nobody that really sticks out ever. I mean,
someone in chat asked about Everth Cabrera, and I think he's okay where he's really, really cheap, but he's not always really, really cheap around the industry is one thing I've noticed. The other thing is Arroyo generates a lot of fly balls, and so a guy that has no power whatsoever, right. I prefer to take him against somebody who generates a lot of ground balls to really amplify that speed. But he doesn't bother me if he's really, really cheap. Again, these are all kind of more punt likely type options tonight.
Yeah, and that's just real quick. One more guy is D. Gordon though.
That too. Well, I was going to talk about him at second base, but I love him tonight.
He's going to be expensive, but at the same time, he doesn't get thrown out, man. He just steals bases and doesn't get. Everyone's talking about Billy Hamilton, but Billy Hamilton's been caught more than anyone else this year. D. Gordon leads the league in stolen bases, and he's been caught. I don't know. I looked yesterday before the games. He's been caught once. Yesterday, I don't know if he was caught last night, but he's swiping bags with ease right now. And if you want to pay up at shortstop, that's probably where I would go.
Yep, I think I'm on board with all of that.
I would like to say real quick, just as a heads up to our sponsor, that you don't have to play shortstop or second base if you don't want to. It's all infield, so you can just load up on first baseman and third baseman. You don't have to play a shortstop, which sometimes...
Unless you want to go contrarian, in which, say, you load up... I play D. Gordon a lot on Elite.
There is no contrarian with Elite.
Bruh, yes there is. There's always contrarian.
There's not contrarian with Elite. You're not
It wasn't
all right. Second base. First base. What are we doing here?
You saved Davis on that one.
No, I saved me, saved you. All right, other second baseman you like, Dink?
Second base? I mean, I'm paying up for Cano on a lot of sites tonight. It's a really good spot for him against Peacock, who allows a 360-plus weighted on-base average left-handed bats and over 1.2 home run per nine. It's a good park. They've got a lot of lefties in that lineup. You look, 7 in the lineup, 6 of the first 7 hitters are lefties. So Cano's price point around the industry isn't really, prohibitive. So I'm kind of looking at Cano because there's not a lot of mid-level options at second base. If you want to go, you either want to go Cano or you want to go really cheap with Rayburn or Logan Forsythe.
Yeah. Are you on the Logan Forsythe train, Laffy?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Let me just give you a contrarian play, if I may. We were talking about it earlier. Anthony Rendon, second base eligible on plenty of sites. He's really been hit or miss. I know Ben had recommended him the one day, and he goes like 0 for 5, and it was a great recommendation. It was a great matchup. But then he recommends him the next day, and he goes, I think 4 for 4 or something. So he can be a sketchy pick, but I kind of actually don't mind him against Lee. Lee does give up hits. That's the thing. He allows base runners. It's just he can make quick work of batters too. So I don't know. I don't ever hate playing batters against him. You know, Gaddis went 4 for 4 against him the other day, and Lee still had 12 strikeouts. So it's one of those situations where he can still be an excellent pitching option, and there's still excellent options against him as well, if that makes any sense.
Don't you think his salary is pretty high, though?
Rendon?
It's high, but it's not crazy high. I think both Utley and Rendon are good tournament plays.
Yeah, I agree.
Because nobody's going to be on him. I also think like Derek Dietrich has big power. He's hitting second. That's not a bad spot for him. Just kind of looking through lineups now. Those are kind of the guys that jumped out.
I took Dietrich versus Tuttle in Elite. I know he's in the same position as your buddy Ed, but I think Dietrich is in a pretty nice spot tonight.
And, you know, Cano's price is inflated in a lot of areas, too. And he really hasn't exhibited much. I know he's back in he's what is he? Where is he playing tonight?
Houston.
No, he's in Houston. Yeah, I thought they were. I forgot. I thought they were still in New York. So it's not a bad part, but I don't know. He just hasn't been really providing a ton of power either. So I think if you were to weight his price up against Rendon's, there's an argument for Rendon 100% when you're looking at who's top priced among second basemen tonight. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's move on to first baseman. Let's have the David Ortiz conversation. Are you paying up for Ortiz pretty much everywhere, Dink?
I wouldn't say everywhere because it depends on how soft the pricing is on the site. But I do like Ortiz a lot tonight. Straley's the guy that's allowed 1.7 home run per 9 to left-handed bats, and most of those innings are in big parks, whether it's the Coliseum or whether it's Anaheim, or whether it's Seattle. There's a lot of big parks out west that division pitches in. 1.7 home run per 9 is a huge number to left-handed bats. You throw him in Fenway against Big Papi, I think that's a good spot, and Papi's price around the industry just isn't prohibitive. So I like him a lot. I'm basically spending on him or Brandon Moss, or I'm going cheap with Nick Swisher or Josh Satin.
Talk about Moss, Laffy.
Dude, Moss against right-handed pitchers, especially struggling pitchers, is fantastic. And the thing about him is a couple games, you know, there have been games where he hasn't hit home runs recently, but he's still getting on base and he's still creating. You know, he had a stolen base a couple games ago. He's getting on base, and you know, a lot of times when you play Moss, you're thinking, all right, it's home run or bust. But he's doing a little bit more than that recently. I believe they faced lefties their last 2 games out. So if you're looking at those numbers, it's obviously going to be down because he only had 1 at bat. But you know, he's getting a decent amount of multi-hit games, and he does have an incredible amount of power off righties. Just an incredible amount of power. He really does. I forget what his ISO was off righties since 2012. But it's way up there, and I mean like
it's almost 300.
Yeah, like 290. Yeah, it's insane. I think he's gonna hit one out tonight.
Okay. I think the guy that I'm using on most sites is Josh Satin because I was talking about this with Dink earlier. I think that a lot of the projection system right now. I think if there was skills erosion for Ortiz, it wouldn't be showing up yet, just because most projection systems are using a 3-year split or maybe even more information than that. And just to me, he hasn't been someone who's made his way into my lineups very often so far this year. And Satin, you know, he's specialized as to what he can do, but he's in cores and he has the platoon advantage tonight against a not very good pitcher, as Kitchen would say, George of the Roses. So I think that Satin is who I'm going with most sites, especially on like FanDuel, he's like 2.5. Draft Street, he's 4K. Like you can have a lineup with Felix Hernandez if you take guys like Satin and still get in lots of guys that you want and not have to punt too many positions.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with another one. Freddie Freeman. you're going up against a pitcher that is just absolutely deteriorated in Tim Lincecum. Just real quick, these numbers. Lincecum against lefties, 421 WOBA, 569 slugging, 4 doubles, 4 doubles, 2 triples. Not that he's going to triple, but they're seeing him really well, and I think that Freddie Freeman's always someone that can provide you with a ton of power. I mean, Freeman could give you 2 bombs tonight. Not saying he will, but I'm saying he is the kind of guy that definitely can. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that pick. That's a really good contrarian pick.
And you know what else? I'm looking at this right now. His K rate against righties this year is 30%. It's 16.4% against lefties. So contact shall be made.
Contact shall be made. Wise words from Laffy D. Third base is the position that I think is actually the biggest mess tonight. You're not getting bailed out by anybody other than Aviles, really. I guess.
No, you don't want to get like third base is a place you want to spend tonight because there's great values. There's 3 guys. It's Evan Longoria, David Wright, and Adrian Beltre. And Longoria is priced pretty fairly around the industry. Wright and Beltre, for the most part, are pretty discounted to where you'll typically find them, with the exception of Wright on DraftKings that gets the Coors Field boost. He's priced probably where you'd expect him most of the year. But they're both facing left-handed. They're all 3 of them are facing left-handed pitchers, so they got the platoon advantage. Big park boosts for Longoria and Wright. Beltre, it's a park downgrade, but it's against a fly ball pitcher that allows 1.4 home run per 9 to right-handed bats. So I think all 3 of those guys are in great spots. Carlos Santana's in a good spot as well. His price has come up closer to those guys. If there was a bigger gap, I'd be more supportive of him. But I think those 3 guys are all discounted. With the Longo's probably priced appropriately, but Wright and Beltre are discounted from where you'll find them most of the season.
Yeah, and Dink, I don't know about you, but I think Wright gets his 2nd homer tonight.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just
I don't know why.
Real quick, Davis. At Coors Field over the past 3 years, and it's not a huge sample size, but David Wright, it's not much, but still, this field just is so conducive to hitters. And even against Colorado, he's batting .351 since 2011. It's not much, but he's had a lot of power at Coors Field in limited at bats. 9 RBIs and only 29 at bats, 2 home runs, 12 of 29. It's not much, as I said, but I love that when they're playing at Coors Field, and David Wright's not going to stay down for long. He's a talented hitter, and he hits left-handers. He does. I mean, he's .312 average over the past couple years against them, .943 OPS. I like him.
Yeah, that's who I have slotted in right now. I mean, I just don't think you can't replace that much of a hitter's park with that bad of a pitcher. That's just not something you get very often.
Exactly.
Yeah. As far as I think we're probably good at third base. Is there any other guys you wanted to mention? We talked about Sean Rodriguez. We talked about Forsythe. I don't think there's anyone else that needs to be mentioned. Is there? All right.
No.
Well, then it's now time for stat of the day, but I gotta stop doing this because I get on Fangraphs in the morning to find it, and then I waited about 3 minutes into the show to talk about it, and it was just that basically Strasburg walks is 75% more likely to walk a batter on the road than he is at home. So just a word of caution using Strasburg tonight. Now we're going to talk about outfielders, and I think that this should be interesting because I bet everyone has like a different cheap guy that they like. The guy that immediately leapt off the page to me was Christian Yelich, again, just because I love when he gets to lead off against an opposite, when he has the platoon advantage. But from what I could tell, he hasn't ended up on anyone's write-ups on any site that I've seen today. Dink, who are some of the outfielders you guys are looking at?
Yeah, Yelich is all right. It's just like there's so many other value outfielders today that he kind of falls down the list. So the guy that jumps off first is Chris Young, hitting cleanup for the Mets. Has always hit left-handed pitching well, above a .350 weighted on base average. Done a lot of that damage in poor hitting environments the last few years. Gets that boost with Coors, so he's pretty cheap around the industry. Corey Dickerson, my guy, hitting sixth. Big fan of his. Has a 370 plus weighted on base average against right-handed pitching. Zach Wheeler is a good pitcher, good velocity, good stuff, but he really struggles to command the strike zone against lefties. Walks over 13% of the lefties he faces. So the lefties in the Colorado lineup are intriguing to me. And then, there's also Alex Gordon against Rick Porcello, who gives up, over a 370 weighted on base average to left-handed bats. Gordon's in a really good spot. His price is really down pretty hard. There's a lot. Will Myers, in cleanup against Vidal Nuno, a left-handed pitcher in Yankee Stadium. A good spot for him. There's a lot of value guys in better offensive environments before I get to Yelich for me.
All right, bring us home, Laffy.
Yeah, Chris Young is another guy, and I think he was in one of the fantasy, and I think he was in the hitters write-up today.
Probably not the pitchers one.
Well, he could have been if the starter for Seattle was gone.
Yeah, but Dink kind of went over everybody. So he's someone. Oh, I wanted to mention one more guy at third base real quick. Just not someone I love, but a mid-range guy. If you're not trying to spend a lot, Juan Francisco. Just because on some sites he's still, relatively cheap. But last guy, let me just one more time mention Jason Worth because I think he's gonna hit a home run tonight. I feel it.
Wow.
And,
this is the reverse homerism that you're displaying.
Yeah, you think I'm a homer, and you're just wrong, David. But
you're just wrong.
I know you're a reverse homer. You're either all on them or all against them.
No, I'm honest. Dear God.
No, people sometimes you get certain personalities. I do the same thing when because I'm a Vandy fan. So or Cubs fans are notorious for it also. Going to the extreme against your team. Thinking that because it's almost like you almost want to cheer for it because something's bad's going to happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's kind of straight. I just looked at Worth's numbers this year off lefties. He only has 21 at bats, but he hasn't done anything off of them. But I don't think that makes a difference. He's coming back to Philadelphia where he was kind of ushered out of there without many kind words. And in limited at bats against Lee, he's been successful. So. Citizens Bank Park is a great place to hit. It's the weather. It's not cold out here. It's nice weather, so there's not going to be any cold air knocking the ball down. Big potential there, and I think he's an awesome GPP play. Worth might be my favorite GPP outfielder on the night.
I'd say for me, Ray Byrne. Someone elevated Nick.
Who's Ray Burns?
Ray Byrne. Ray Byrne.
Raburn?
No,
Raburn. Raburn, yes. I would say that he at 2.8, on DraftKings. I'm pretty excited about the Cleveland hitters tonight. So he's going to be my risky dong of the day. But
risky dong of the day.
Risky dong.
Yeah. So otherwise, the Tommy G play. So we are. Someone asked about Adam Jones, 3K on FanDuel, 3.6 I think on DraftKings, hitting cleanup. I think he would be a good contrarian play. I mean, he's not gonna. It's a righty on righty matchup, but he's not going to stay down.
He hits righties better than he hits lefties anyway, so he's fine. Where his price is down on DraftKings too. It's 3,600.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ricky Nolasco isn't exactly what you would call a shutdown pitcher.
Yeah.
No.
Want to get to some questions. Adam Jones or Alex Gordon?
Alex Gordon for me.
Absolutely.
All right. Wright or Beltre?
Right.
That's tough, but I'm going with David right here. Park factor alone on that one.
And then Gindy989 says Pedro Alvarez double dome. So that is his.
It's always possible. That's not exactly the best pitcher to do it against because Morrow gets a lot of ground balls, but Alvarez has immense power, so it's always possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 strikeouts, 2 home runs is very possible.
Yep. All right. We ready to call out our guaranteed dongs?
Oh yeah.
Is it time?
Yeah. Show us who those home runs are going to be, boys.
All right, Laffy, give us your guaranteed dong and your under the radar dong.
God, I love dongs. This is such a fun time.
Okay.
I know.
We'll
All
bookmark
right.
that.
Well, my guarantee. You ready? You heard it already, baby. I'm going risky. Jason Worth off Cliff Lee at Citizen Bank Park. And then another one. He's my risky dong. My guaranteed dong. I'm going Brandon Moss tonight. Going both. Yeah, I'm playing Moss in the outfield on DraftKings.
Okay. Dink.
Guaranteed dong, David Ortiz. Under the radar dong, Chris Young.
All right.
How about some extra dong? Buster Posey.
Buster
I
Posey.
just said Duxter Posey. Buster Posey. Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna go Mike Aviles as my under the radar versus Danks hitting second, and then for my guaranteed one, Corey Dickerson versus Wheeler. He's gonna get one for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, that's happening.
Maybe.
Yep, that's gonna go down. All right. More importantly, though, the I'm gonna regret this, or the George Oscar Bluth Trophy for the night. I've made a terrible mistake. Who is the guy who you're gonna fade tonight that you are most likely to hate yourself for fading? Laffy.
Ortiz.
Okay. Dink.
Miguel Cabrera.
Mine's definitely gonna be Strasburg. I'm gonna wish I took him over Felix. Cause he's my favorite player, and the K upside's so big, and he's gonna have like a 14 strikeout game, and everyone who took Felix to be safe is gonna be bummed out when Strasburg posts like 8 more FanDuel points.
And with a reverse, I'm gonna regret this. You already knew it, Jason Worth.
Yeah. Talk him up for the whole show. Regret it. All right.
But it's happening.
Mm-hmm. That was just such a confusing moment from Laffy right there. I don't know if I know what just happened.
Reverse, I'm gonna play him, but there's a good chance I'll regret it.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not who you have to fade; it's who you're going to regret playing or not playing. Yeah.
Right.
So, I think that is okay. Last question: Hayward versus Myers. That from Chandler WH.
It's always
Myers.
Yeah.
We have Myers ranked higher in our model.
Yeah, and I think Myers too. But every time I play him, he sucks. So.
Are you
Hayward.
playing?
No.
Then he's good.
So,
Myers.
whoever you want.
Yep.
Oh man, awesome! I think that'll do it for the day's show. If you want to stick around and chat and ask questions or hit us up on Twitter, you can. Want to say thanks to Davis Maddock and Dave Loughran from Fantasy Insiders and Drew Dinkmeyer from Roto Experts. Drew, you want to give your little plug?
Sure. You can check us out, Daily Fantasy Rundown, over at Roto Experts. It's under the Daily tab. Mike Leone and I are providing content every single day. We've got 2 different packages: daily analysis column, which is recommendations position by position, and then cheat sheets, which are site specific for DraftStreet, DraftKings, and FanDuel. Either package comes with lineup alerts that keep you updated with emails to your inbox on lineups and weather changes as the day goes.
You have definitely rehearsed that. It sounded excellent.
Yeah, except for the part where he mentions that he and Mike have 2 different packages. I thought was a little risque. Also,
It'd be weird if they had the same package, don't you think?
Yeah, it'd be much weirder if they had the same package.
Oh, well, I mean, no one has the same package, but you don't talk about it. I don't say Davis Maddock and Dave who have different packages. I mean, that's just kind of a known thing.
I'll prefer to take your word on it, Dave.
I mean, our packages are like snowflakes. We all have different ones. So, on that,
some better than others, but I'm just saying.
Easy there, Dave. Not your target audience, I don't think. Do want to say, FantasyElite will post a link to the Tuttle versus Davis matchup.
Drew, you gotta stop typing, bro.
It only happens when Dave talks. I've been typing throughout. That's weird.
No, I know.
Sorry, I'm trying to handle customer support.
It's so loud, man. It's so loud.
So, anyways,
It's like you're pounding on your keyboard.
we'll get the link to the Fantasy Elite rematch with Davis and Knapp and see if Davis can defend his.
Davis and Tuttle. It'd be weird
Davis
if I
and Tuttle.
played now.
Sorry. And starting next week, we'll try to get to some 3-man drafts and have them featured on the show. I do want to say there are a bunch of NBA drafts. You know, you've got the big NBA promotion if you're still into that. Even if you're not into the NBA stuff, if you've already moved past baseball, you need to get in there tomorrow. There's going to be 3 Game 7s, and it's going to be amazing. So, like, if there's any time to play Fantasy Elite, it would be tomorrow with 3 Game 7s. Those games are going to be nuts. They're going to be great.
It's Derby Day, though.
Hey,
You're not going to be watching the Derby over 3 Game 7s?
The Derby takes like all of 5 minutes.
And
I'll tell you this. Tomorrow is going to be super nerve-wracking. I'm going to hate every second of it. Watching your team in a Game 7 is not fun. I don't care what anybody says. It's a miserable experience through and through.
Who's your team?
Oklahoma City.
It's difficult to tell with all the different hats you wear, Matic.
Yeah, you definitely wore a Spurs hat the other day, which kind of threw me off big time.
Are you from Oklahoma City? Or surrounding area?
My whole family is. Like that's where my dad... everyone in my family went to OU, pretty much.
That's what we get around here, like, you know, Dallas Cowboy fans. Their great-grandfather once flew
Zach
through...
Randolph suspended for Game 7.
I know. It's great. It's so great. It's so great. Steven
Adams
Adams
is excited.
Yeah, the James Harden pick, the James Harden trade justified itself right there because he got suspended for punching Steven Adams. Steven Adams is the most annoying 7-footer in the league, for sure. I'm excited.
I think you should be. That's huge news.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Ed Davis. Whoo!
Did Paul George get suspended?
He did not. No suspensions given out for the Hawks Pacers.
The NBA would like Indiana and Oklahoma City to advance.
I was about to say, it's all about the ones.
Oh, will you guys stop it?
It is true.
I live in Kansas, so every time I mention the fact that I'm a fan of the NBA, these are the things that get brought up. They don't play defense, and it's rigged. So I spend like 75% of my life fighting against those sentiments, and I'm not going to take it from you two.
Okay. Well, you don't have to take it, but I mean, it's true. If there was the underdog, it wouldn't happen. All right, well, that will do it for today's show. I will leave you with the wonderful music of the Spice Girls. I don't know why Dan wanted this, but he did want this for the intro and outro music. And not only that, I'm going to leave you with this picture right here of Drew in his heyday. Wait, that's not it.
Oh my god!
That's it, right there. That's it, in his Walkman and short shorts.
No!
Oh, yeah.
No!
Oh, yeah.
Oh! Screenshot! Dave, the only reason you're doing this, too, is to get the bunny suit out of everybody's minds.
Oh,
I can't believe that Chad hasn't figured out that the Discman is photoshopped on.
oh no.
Like, the headphones don't give it away, Chad? Come on.
Yeah, one of them's on your left eye. One of Oh, it's great.
All right, guys, we'll see you on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks to Fantasy Elite and our hosts, Drew Dinkmeyer, Davis Maddock, and Dave Loughran for joining us today. Later.
Looks like a package might be falling out of those shorts.